Let's take a look at some news right here. See what's going on with memeology. Chicago Mayor Johnson lashes out when asked whether he supports the city council's curfew plans aimed at stopping teen takeovers. Oh yeah, this happened.
Everything that we do in the city in regards to public safety, working with the police department, we work together on everything. We work together with every agency in the city. So regardless of what any ordinance says, everything we do to drive violence down in this city is a collaborative effort of folks working together, from the mayor to myself, the superintendent, the chief of patrol, who's called me twice since we were sitting up here.
CVI,
Everybody.
the philanthropic community, the business community. I'm sorry.
No,
Mr.
you're
Beaver,
good.
I
We're
know.
rolling.
Look,
Yeah, no.
I'm just saying, you all, it'd be different if violent crime was going up in Chicago. We should be celebrating the fact that violent crime is going down in Chicago.
You're a fucking liar.
Bullshit!
Yeah.
Bullshit!
I'm raising children in this city. I know what it's like to feel unsafe and to be targeted. We have to stop as a city falling to some of the most ridiculous, remedial forms of governance. It has not worked. And now we're doing stuff that works, and then they want to come up with another idea that has not worked. What sense does that make? I'm saying ask deeper, more profound questions about why young people are gathering in spaces in the first place. That's why I was up to freaking midnight on Saturday night, out, you know, hanging out with some of the young people at the late night basketball, showing up for these young brothers. They all could be my son. They can all be my nephews.
Well, then why don't you talk
And
to
it's just
them?
like we're debating something that doesn't work. Why are we even debating it? Here's what people should be asking. Mayor Johnson, how is it that within 2 years, your administration has driven violent crime down in this city more than we've seen in a decade, if not longer? Ask me what is working versus a failed attempt to criminalize people.
I mean, because we can see all the criminals that come out.
No. No, I don't think I will.
Yeah, it's like, oh, the kid murdered someone. Oh, we're not gonna press charges. That's fine. What the fuck? Dude is fucking 17-years old. Please. You can try him as an adult. Motherfucker murdered someone. You got these people getting guns and holding people fucking at gunpoint. It's like, Jesus Christ. There's the B-2 bomber coming in. Oh shit, look at that beauty. Looks so good. God damn. Whee! Just a minute. 35 was just flying. Landing. I'm guessing these are all 12 of them or some shit. There we go. Ghost of the sky.
Outside of the White House remains divided. Some say that this sends a strong message to Iran. Others say that this goes against what the president is calling for, which is peace.
Many presidents have dreamed of delivering the final
he said
blow
peace
to
through
Iran's
strength.
nuclear program, and none could until President Trump. The operation President Trump planned was bold and it was brilliant.
The Trump administration, after the strikes, is calling for Iran to negotiate for peace.
We bombed Iran.
Yeah.
That's an act of war. We bombed Iran. That is so insane.
As many were just finding out
That
about the
is
strikes,
an act of war.
reactions outside the White House were understandably mixed. Some strongly support the decision.
It was not surprising. We expect that gonna happen, but we didn't expect the time. And 100%, yeah, we support the Mr. Donald Trump for what happened yesterday.
For others, it's worry. Lorenz Spacher is from Germany.
I'm here for work exchange.
He had heard the situation was escalating.
I didn't knew that they started bombing them. I heard they are preparing some stuff.
But waking up to learn of the strikes, he fears a bigger, more global conflict.
And I see more and more countries in war than in peace. Probably that concerns me quite a lot because I'm 21 right now. I have a full lifespan ahead, and I know that there is a whole generation.
Your
who's
country's
probably
gonna draft
And
your
now
ass.
the question
You're
is,
gonna
how
get
will
conscripted into
Congress
your
respond?
fucking
It's not the United
countries.
States doing the strikes, because the United States, if we were going to declare war
Army.
on Iran, we do
You're-
it through
you're
the
from
process
Germany,
we have
right?
in
Oh, yeah, they'll
place,
take you in.
which be congressional approval.
Now, some Republican lawmakers, they're coming out in full support of this, while some Democrats are condemning these actions. In Washington, D.C., I'm Jacqueline Quinn, WUSA 9.
Oh, they didn't even talk about who did it? Oh. Not gonna even say who's talking shit?
An academic has been stood down and referred to police by Australia's oldest university after tweeting Zionists should be executed. The University of Sydney's Farhad Ali posted last week.
Oh shit! Even
sanctions
Australia's
want
getting some
Zionists
heat
executed
with
like we
with these
executed Nazis.
pro-Palestinian
When that post was
motherfuckers.
marked by X's violent speech, Ali doubled down. He wrote, "Don't tell me wanting to see these people hanged like the Nazis were post-Nuremberg is violent." Ali is now being investigated by both the university and New South Wales Police. Meanwhile, the uni's student protest leaders were questioned at a New South Wales parliamentary inquiry into anti-Semitism. One caught out for giving incorrect evidence about a billboard of Palestinian terrorists that was put up on campus.
There has never been any such billboard. There's no photographic evidence.
I would say that your claim that this billboard didn't exist is indeed fake news, because I have a photo of the billboard here.
We never saw any of this billboard.
The billboard featured this image of October 7 mastermind and Hamas military chief Mohammed Deif, among other Palestinian terrorists. Joining me now is the New South Wales Liberal Upper House MP Chris Rath, who exposed that student protester and led a lot of that questioning during the inquiry. Chris, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Well, look, it was infuriating to listen to some of that evidence justifying, for example, calls for intifada.
That's right. I think they're quite dismissive of anti-Semitism, these student leaders, and indeed so many, in particular at the University of Sydney. They try and say that intifada just means shake it off or shake off, which is ridiculous. We know that intifada is used as a term by so many to mean an armed and aggressive uprising. It has been a term that has inspired so many around the world to enact violence against the Jewish community and against the state of Israel. So I don't think that we should be turning a blind eye when people use terms like globalised intifada.
You also had the chance during this inquiry to question Sydney University leadership over its handling of these tweets by that academic Farhad Ali. The fact that an academic felt emboldened enough to post-execute Zionists in the first place, what do you think that says about our universities?
Yeah, I think that the universities have been very slow to act since October 7 on combating anti-Semitism. At the University of Sydney in particular, they did very little. over 12 months. They didn't shut down the encampment that existed and that harassed and intimidated Jews. If you look at the Farhad Ali example, I think you know that anti-Semitism is rife at our universities, in particular at the University of Sydney. They try and hide behind terms like, well, if we say execute the Zionists, it's not actually anti-Semitic. They try and differentiate Zionism from the Jewish community. But we all know that that's complete and utter nonsense. No reasonable person would differentiate Zionism from anti-Semitism, and that you know, that link is I think really important.
Yeah, it's really disingenuous, and I think you exposed how they use that sort of coded language. I mean, 90% of Jews are Zionists, something like that figure, but of course, non-Jews can be Zionists too. Many non-Jews are Zionists and believe Jews have the right to sovereignty in their own homeland. What did the universities have to say about their handling of the anti-Semitism crisis overall? I noticed that University of Sydney leadership actually said that they thought they handled the dismantling of the longest running pro-Palestinian encampment on their campus well compared to, say, campuses in the US.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of revisionist history there from the universities saying that they did a remarkable job, but we know that anti-Semitism has been on the rise at our universities since October 7. Less than half of all Jewish students and academics feel safe going to our universities. It's a terrible situation that we're in. I think the University of Sydney somewhat reluctantly acknowledged that they didn't get everything right. And I think one of the things that they didn't get right was allowing that encampment to exist for as long as it did. When you have an encampment that has links to a known terrorist organisation, Hizb ut-Tahrir, an encampment that proudly flies the flag of Hezbollah or the Taliban, or at least flags that resemble those flags, when you have an encampment that is deliberately intimidating and harassing Jewish students, I think that it went on for far too long. And one of their responses seemed to be that, well, there should be maybe another entrance into exams or into classes that Jewish students could use so that they didn't have to walk past the encampments and be harassed by these hard left activists. Well, I would suggest that the better approach would be to shut down the encampments and not to allow those encampments to occur, rather than segregating our Jewish students from everyone else by giving them a special entrance that they could use.
Yeah, I noticed the university said that it wasn't just for Jewish students, the alternative entry, but then again, who else was feeling as harassed by these encampments? Chris Rath, we're out of time, but I really appreciate you coming on. Thanks for your time.
No worries.
Now we're doing segregation based on fucking goddamn religious background. Now it was like, what the fuck are we doing? I thought this was supposed to be a unit, right? Almost a free world, and to an extent, because there's a lot of people flying around using those goddamn airplanes, are they not? Like, what the fuck is happening? What the fuck are you guys fighting amongst each other? What the fuck? Ay. There you go. Sky News Australia.
Of Iran after this took place last night. We do want to bring in ABC's Marcus Moore in Tel Aviv this morning with the president's remarks and how Iran reacted.
This morning, Tehran responding after President Trump announced the U.S. successfully struck 3 nuclear facilities in Iran, Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan.
The strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace If they do not, future attacks will be far greater.
U.S. officials say B-2 bombers dropped a number of massive ordnance penetrator bombs known as bunker busters. Tomahawk cruise missiles were also fired from a submarine.
It was clear. We devastated the Iranian nuclear program.
The White House releasing these photos of the president in the Situation Room, along with Vice President Vance, Secretary of State Rubio, and other senior officials. The Pentagon calling the strikes Operation Midnight Hammer. Iran's foreign minister calling the attacks lawless and criminal.
U.S. administration holds sole and full responsibility for the consequences of its actions. Iran reserves all options to defend its security.
The country then launching missiles towards Israel. Israel Fire and Rescue said it received several reports of direct damage to residential buildings in 3 districts. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanking President Trump, saying Iran's nuclear program threatened Israel's very existence and endangered world peace.
That President Trump acted to deny the world's most dangerous regime, the world's most dangerous weapons.
Last week, the president set a 2-week deadline to decide whether the U.S. would join the Israelis and help strike Iran's nuclear facilities. But Trump and his national security team opting to carry out the military operation faster than expected.
Yeah.
Satellite imagery could determine whether the strikes took out the facility, but experts add the only way to know.
No, I
is to get someone on the
think he
ground.
asked. I think he might have asked Netanyahu to do like some kind of speech purposefully, you know.
As tensions rise. Marcus Moore, ABC News.
By that time, you're
Marcus-
right. They were already getting ready to fucking go out and go do a job. What is this? Oklahoma leaders respond to military sites struck in Iran.
Lawmakers in the Sooner State we have heard from so far are saying President Trump has made the right call. Governor Stitt taking to X tonight saying the world is safer for President Trump's actions. From the Senate, U.S. Senator James Lankford echoing this message, emphasizing his support for the U.S. military. A member of U.S. Senate's Select Committee on Intelligence. The attack on Iran comes 1 month after Lankford traveled to meet with Middle East leaders in Iraq, Lebanon, Jordan, and Israel.
My brother
U.S.
turned
Senator
on the
Mark
AC.
Wayne Mullen claims the attack ends a, quote, forever war, saying in part the president was clear Iran must never have a nuclear weapon. The Republican-led Senate GOP trusts President Trump to keep America safe, free, and prosperous. On the House side, I also had the chance to speak with Oklahoma State Representative Justin Humphrey. He trusts the judgment of the president, but admits he's worried for his son, who is going through Army boot camp, and what could come after the attack.
He warned them. He's warned them quite a bit. He is trying to break up regimes. I think sometimes you have to show strength to prevent other problems. And I think what he's doing right here is showing that he will carry out strikes, that he is not bluff, and that I should think he's showing strength. I hope that sends a great message. I'm not worried about Iran. What I'm worried about is who would team up with Iran. Does this start something much, much bigger than just Iran? And so, again, we're going to have to wait for a couple of days
I told
to see,
you that
or
people say
weeks
Iran.
to the coming days to see whether this unites
Iran.
others, whether people
Iran.
come to join, Iran.
I also spoke with Alex
sorry.
Gray, who was the chief
Sorry,
of
when
staff of
when
the
I
National
do it,
Security
I'm
Council during
literally
President Trump's first term.
Iran.
He tells me the president made this decision with real-time intelligence from across the globe in the best interest of the country and our allies.
Just looking
They're
at
on the
how
run
the president
now.
views
They're in
the
the
world,
bunkers and
there are
shit.
kind of two conflicting things that he was looking at. The president has been criticizing U.S. involvement in the Middle East from long before he was an elected official. At the same time, he said for over a decade that Iran should never be allowed to have nuclear weapons.
As we hear from elected leaders, we'll be
it's
sure
true.
to share their reactions on our website. Reporting in the newsroom, Olivia Hickey, KOCO 5 News.
There you have it. And then we had this. This showed it earlier today, but yeah, this or earlier.
We have a Fox News alert. According to reports from The Guardian, an ISIS suicide bomber has killed at least 22 people and injured 63 more after detonating an explosive vest at a Christian church in Damascus, Syria. Fox News has not yet confirmed the full elements of this report. The alleged attacker opened fire inside a Greek Orthodox church before setting off a bomb. According to the report, eyewitnesses also saw a second gunman fire at the worshippers, but he did not blow himself up. This is the first suicide bombing in the country since the overthrow of former Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Now, of course, at this point in time, we don't know exactly what this individual had what his motive was, or if it's tied to the American bombing or not. But this is the sort of thing that is creating tension, global tension all around the world in the wake of the U.S. Attacks on these nuclear sites specifically.
Yeah, you'll remember about a decade ago, the Obama State Department actually declared there was an official genocide going on against Christians in Iraq and Syria, and it was a result of ISIS marching their way across those two countries. And now you're seeing this report about an ISIS suicide bomber on a Sunday blowing themselves up in a church. Absolutely horrific, but goes back to this ideology of Islamic supremacy. And it still does exist in many corners of the Middle East. And President Trump took great measures to go after ISIS during his first term. And it's still something they're having to deal with.
Yeah, I think this brings in a really important topic that we've talked about for the last couple of days, which is this idea that if we cripple Iran's conventional army in a big way, if the proxies in the region are stalled or held back, does that turn into sleeper cells activating here at home? Of course, that's a fear that we should have. We should be, since 9/11 and even before, honestly, we should be vigilant for that. But the other side of it is, if they're here, they're already here. And what activates them may not be what we're seeing in the headlines. As we see this now, who knows how long this was planned. And that's why it is important to have a government that looks at our border, looks at who has made it here, that uses the FBI as a part of its immigration policy. And I hope that that's what we're doing right now.
Listen, first I want to applaud you both for being cautious. We don't know the motivation. You know, there was that situation up at a church in Michigan earlier today, and my mind immediately went to maybe that has something to do with what's happening overseas, and the fact is we just don't know the motivation. However, given that we've seen this sort of attack happen before numerous times, I don't think it's difficult to put two and two together. Now, that said, I think what you said, Joey, is the most important note here, and that is what the prior administration did was unconscionable in allowing so many people to come into this country that we simply didn't vet. We don't know anything about them. And unfortunately, in many cases, we don't even know where they are. Now, that obviously puts the onus on the FBI and local law enforcement to make sure that we find them immediately. But we're all vulnerable. And this is a fact of life. We've seen this happen in the Middle East previously, and we can only hope for the very best for the folks there.
Absolutely. I think that last thing on this, we're praying for them.
Yes,
they
sir.
were at church, they were in their place of worship, and they were murdered. And unfortunately, terrorists are like cockroaches. If you kill one, 5 come to its funeral. And that's still what we're dealing with.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
You heard Sean Hannity. If you want to go watch him or see his other stuff. Or their other stuff. What do you got here?
Okay, I want to know why you insist
So I want to say thank you.
Oh, is this the Alex Padilla? Yeah. Motherfucker rushes in right there.
Hands up, hands up.
That's the
Federal
other
agents
angle.
forcibly removed California Senator Alex Padilla from Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's news conference in Los Angeles Thursday after he interrupted her.
I'll have a conversation with him and visit and find out really what his concerns were. I think everybody in America would agree that that wasn't appropriate.
The secretary, because the fact of the matter is, a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your.
You're out of your fucking mind, man.
How many of our ICE agents have been docked or
On the ground. On the ground. Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
If you let my hands go and put them behind my back.
Right hand. Lay flat. Lay flat.
Stop resisting. Stop resisting. Just lay flat. Stop resisting.
1 week later.
Well, I was hoping Jose Padilla would be here to ask a question.
Jose Padilla would be here to ask a question.
But unfortunately, I guess he decided not to show up because there wasn't the theater. And that's all it is. You know, I think everybody realizes that's what this is. It's pure political theater. These guys show up. They want to be captured on camera doing something. They want to be able to go back to their far left groups and to say, look, me, I stood up against border enforcement. I stood up against Donald Trump. When all they're really standing up for is for drug cartels to run rampant over our country and sex traffickers to be able to continue to traffic little kids into our country. That's what you're doing when you stand against border enforcement.
Vice President J.D. Vance served with you in the Senate for multiple years. He is currently the president of the Senate where you serve. He also went to Yale. I assume that he knows your name is Alex Padilla. Your response to him calling you Jose?
He knows my name. He knows my name. Look, sadly, it's just an indicator of how petty and unserious this administration is. But he's the vice president of the United States. You think he'd take the situation in Los Angeles more seriously?
Oh, yes, he's adorable. Do you
Dude, you don't even
Do
take the
I?
fucking shit going on in Los Angeles seriously. What the fuck are you talking about?
Adorable.
Nobody
What's his
even
name?
fucking knows who
Jose.
you are.
Sounds fancy.
It's only run by Karen Shit Bass and fucking New Scum. The fuck out of here, weirdo. And then here it is, the open source intel. Oh. High-res satellite imagery shows 16 cargo trucks entering tunnels at Iran's Fordo nuclear facility shortly before the U.S.-Israeli strike, raising concerns Tehran may have secretly relocated enriched uranium or critical nuclear materials ahead of the bombing. What's Maxar? Let's just make sure. Oh, Maxar Intelligence and Space Systems. They're the ones that get the images. So it's a reliable source, in a sense. For everyone who thinks Iran moved enriched uranium out before the strike, the trucks in the image are dump trucks, not uranium. Shipping trailers. To move transport uranium, they'd use 48Y type cylinders and sealed trailers, not open bad trucks full of sand. Hauling uranium that way would be logistically unsafe and operationally reckless. Wait, people think that these dump trucks were used? Yeah, that'd be so stupid. You can't just transport the material like that. They were trying to do something else, it looks like. Right, there you have it. And then, this one. Analysis by the Institute of Science and International Security high-res satellite images of Iran's Fordo fuel enrichment plant reveals 6 penetration holes from U.S. GBU-57 bombs and near ventilation shafts, enabling an easier pathways for the MOPS to the deeply buried hulls. Debris visible on mountain slopes also suggests severe damage or destruction of enriched hulls. Tunnel entrances had been filled by Iran beforehand, anticipating an attack. Filled tunnel entrances, filled prior to attack. Gray debris and ash from explosion on side of the mountain. And then you had the holes right there. This set of holes are near the ventilation shaft of the underground complex, enabling an easier pathway for the MOPS to the MOPS to the deeply buried hulls. 6 penetration impact holes from GBU-57. Apparently, they have 6 or 7 ships or aircrafts, and they dropped what? They had about 2 each, right? Fucking doom, doom, doom. So these are the 30-ton bombs they were fucking dropping. Yeah, you don't want to be hit by this thing. No, no, no. Oh, good. Oh, God. They were dropping they were dropping 12 of these on that bitch. Fuck, man. Holy shit, they dropped 12. Like, Jesus. Oh, look at that, 3 holes. 3 holes. Yeah, that's pretty fucking precise, right on top. Alright, we'll see what happens as the days go on. What is this? Monumental damage was done to all nuclear sites in Iran as shown by satellite images. Obliteration is an accurate term. The white structure shown is deeply embedded into the rock, with even its roof well below ground level and completely shielded from flame. The biggest damage took place far below ground level. Bullseye. Yeah, this was right. There was a bunch of road and infrastructure and shit. Now it's all fucking gone. There's like nothing. Well, everything's buried or burned away and covered in dust, right? Sand and shit. Got fucking nuked. Or not nuked, but bombarded. Sorry. Fucking Trump dropped.
So many bombs!
Yeah, apparently this was the underground facility that they had there. So, yeah. This was what was underground. Right. Just another nuclear site. It was Iran's most protected one, built in secret starting in 2006. It took 6 years to complete and became active in 2012, sorry. Buried under 90 meters of rock near Qom. It was made to survive airstrikes and even busting bombs. Yeah, I wonder why they would build that like that, huh? Right? You do have to wonder. But for Iran's nuclear ambitions, it was worth far more. Now it's gone. Yeah, I mean, just the base itself, like it was strategically built, right, to make sure that something wouldn't come fucking fuck it up, right? But then the U.S. came. Now it's gone. This one of the biggest blows to Iran's nuclear program. Yeah, there you have it. All right, that's gonna conclude our little fast news segment for Sunday. Thanks for watching. Please give a like, subscribe, a comment if you want to talk about anything. Much appreciated. Have a good one.